I didn't flinch when the pen touched the paper. She did it with flair, signed her name like it was a victory speech, then leaned back with that signature smirk I used to mistake for charm. Jasmine always had a flair for dramatic exits. The kind of woman who wanted the last word, the last laugh, and the spotlight all to herself, and today, she thought she had all three. 5 years together, and this was how it ended. No tears, no apologies. Just a woman convinced she was finally cutting herself loose from a man who, in her words, never aimed high enough. She had no idea she was letting go of something worth millions. Because the truth is, while she was busy entertaining secrets and chasing adrenaline, I was doing something far more dangerous. I was staying quiet, focused, patient, building, something she never even thought to ask about. So when the judge opened that folder and read the numbers out loud, let's just say she wasn't the only one who could put on a performance. Before we get into the sweet part, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because tomorrow's video is quite interesting. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. You don't realize you're living in a performance. Looking back, I can pinpoint the exact moment things between Jasmine and me started to shift, but at the time, it was so subtle I nearly missed it. It wasn't a fight, or a betrayal, or some big dramatic fallout. Like a lamp slowly dimming over time. The kind of change you only notice when the room is almost completely dark. We met at a friend's rooftop party in downtown Charlotte. She wore this deep green dress that clung like confidence and drank her wine like the world owed her something. She was captivating, ambitious, sharp-tongued, but charming. I was the quiet guy in a fitted button-down and Vans nursing a ginger ale because I had to be up early for a system deployment the next morning. I wasn't flashy then, and truth be told, I'm still not. But something about her leaned toward me that night, and I leaned right back. We got married 2 years later, 5 years together in total. On Instagram, vacation smiles, birthday dinners, new furniture posts with corny hashtags like #HomeVibes. From the outside, we were the couple people envied. Stable, comfortable, uncomplicated, but stability, as I learned, can be mistaken for stagnation, especially by people who crave chaos but won't admit it. The first real sign was her phone. It started showing up in the bathroom with her. Screen always face down, notifications went silent. She used to laugh at reels out loud. Now she scrolled in silence with tight lips and quick swipes. It wasn't what she was doing, it was what she was hiding. Then came the gym schedule, twice a day. Suddenly, new leggings, new water bottle, new friend she mentioned just a little too often. Derek, her trainer. He's gay, she said once too quickly when I asked why he texted her at midnight. I didn't argue. I didn't confront her. I simply nodded. Let her feel safe. Let her underestimate me. That was the thing about Jasmine. She believed she was smarter than everyone in the room, and maybe she was once, but not with me. Not anymore, because while she was busy building her new storyline, I was busy building something else entirely. See, I wasn't just the guy fixing printer issues and rebooting routers for a small insurance company. That was my day job, my decoy, my invisibility cloak by night. I was building a software solution that automated contract workflows for small businesses, basically replacing overpriced middlemen and inefficient office processes with something cleaner, faster, smarter. It started as a side hustle, then it turned into a team of 3, then 10, then an investor pitch during the pandemic that landed bigger than I expected. While Jasmine was watching Netflix and texting Derek under the covers, I was up until 3 a.m. tweaking code, working client demos, talking to advisors across time zones. I never told her, not because I was hiding something, but because I'd learned not everyone deserves front row seats to your grind. The company, EtherCore, wasn't registered in my name, not directly. I created a holding firm 2 years before we even said I do. Separate accounts, firewalled, finances. I didn't do it out of paranoia. I did it out of foresight, because something in my gut told me Jasmine loved the idea of a man more than the man himself. We had conversations. Sure, you could be doing more, she'd say during dinner, sipping her Pinot like a challenge. Safe. You're smart, baby. But smart doesn't mean wealthy. I'd nod, smile, say something not. Let her think, I agreed. She had no idea she was talking to a man whose startup had just crossed its first $2 million quarter. That's when I started emotionally detaching. Slowly, gently. I still made her coffee in the morning. Still let her pick the movies. Still remembered to compliment her when she got her hair done. But behind my eyes, gone, I was planning a quiet exit, just waiting to see what she'd do next, and she delivered. It started with subtle coldness. Then came the passive comments about how some men have real ambition. A few weeks later, I found the divorce papers folded neatly inside a manila envelope on my nightstand. like a permission slip I was supposed to sign. She didn't even bother being discreet. "This just isn't working anymore," she said flatly. "We've grown apart. You're too comfortable." I could have laughed right then and there, but I didn't. I just said, "Okay." She blinked. She wasn't expecting that. I think she wanted drama, but I gave her peace. "Wow. No fight. No begging," she said. I shook my head. "You deserve to be happy, Jasmine. I hope you find that." Her new life online, beach selfies, cocktails, Derek's arm just barely in frame, captioned things like "new energy, new beginnings." Her friends gassed her up in the comments. "You're glowing, sis. Upgraded divorce looks good on you." And I kept quiet. What she didn't know was that she'd served me freedom on a silver platter. She thought she was stepping into a better life, while walking away from one she never took the time to understand, and still I felt no rage, no bitterness. Just confirmation. Every time I opened my banking app, every time I saw another contract signed, another investor check hit the account, I didn't feel like I was winning. I felt like I was waking up. Because the truth is, Jasmine never really saw me, not the real me. She saw potential. She wanted to mold into her version of success. She wanted flash, not substance. Noise, not strategy. She wanted a man who dazzled, not one who built. And I wanted peace. I wanted depth. I wanted a woman who didn't need to be entertained, just respected. So I waited for the court date, for the final act, for the moment where the mask would fall and the truth would hit like cold water. And when that day finally came, I didn't feel nervous. I felt ready. Court was scheduled for a Tuesday. I remember because Jasmine showed up like it was an audition. She wore a fitted navy dress, heels that clicked like punctuation on polished courtroom tile, and a face full of confidence. Her hair was done up, lipstick flawless, posture queen-like. The only thing missing was a red carpet and a camera crew. She even winked at me when our eyes met across the room. Theatrics, that was Jasmine's specialty. She looked at me like I was the forgotten ex in a soap opera. Someone she had outgrown. Someone dull and obsolete. I sat there in a gray suit, plain tie, no expression, no reaction. That's what drove her crazy the most, the silence. I wasn't performing, wasn't begging, wasn't broken. I was just there. But what she didn't realize was that I wasn't the man she'd left behind. That version of me, the one she used to mock for his routines, for his early bedtimes and quiet confidence, was long gone. What sat in that chair now was someone who had already grieved the marriage. Already moved on, already won. She just didn't know it yet. Our lawyers went back and forth for a few minutes on the usual things. Division of property, joint accounts, what to do with the furniture, the house. Her lawyer, a silver-haired man with a rehearsed tone, leaned into every sentence with manufactured empathy. "My client," he said, "believes she is entitled to a fair and equitable share of the marital assets, including ongoing spousal support, given the economic disparity in their careers." He glanced toward me, trying to read my face. I gave him nothing. They had pegged me as the classic under-earner. Jasmine had made sure of that. She'd told him I worked a modest IT job with no upward trajectory. Made sure he knew about our suburban house and my so-called predictable lifestyle. She likely painted herself as the one making sacrifices, and I let them believe it, because the moment you let people underestimate you, that's when you become dangerous. Jasmine crossed her legs, adjusted her dress. She wasn't worried. In fact, she looked like she was enjoying herself. This wasn't about justice to her. It was about performance. And in her mind, she was the star. The judge turned to me. "Mr. Carter," he said, glancing over his glasses, "have you completed your financial disclosures?" My lawyer slid a folder across the table. Thick, precise. TABBED. Double quotes. "Yes, Your Honor," I said calmly. Jasmine's lawyer raised an eyebrow as he opened it, expecting a printout of a humble W-2 and maybe a savings account with a balance that wouldn't cover a month of her salon visits. But instead, he found ownership documents, asset sheets, IP listings, holding agreements, licensing contracts, investment portfolios, and a valuation summary. His eyes narrowed. The smirk on his face evaporated like steam. "Your Honor," he said slowly, I need a moment to review this." Jasmine leaned toward him, confused. "What's wrong?" she whispered. He didn't answer right away. The judge skimmed through the folder himself, tapping a few pages. "It appears," he said, "that Mr. Carter owns and operates a software company, Carter Dynamics LLC, via a private holding firm established before the marriage." He looked at Jasmine's lawyer. "According to this documentation, the company has a current valuation of approximately $11.8 million. Silence. Not courtroom silence, soul-level silence. The kind that hits your chest like cold air when you open the door in winter. Jasmine blinked once, twice, her lips parted slightly, like a sentence had gotten lost on its way out. Her entire face shifted, the mask slipping just enough for the real expression underneath to surface. Shock, confusion, regret. I didn't move. She turned to me like she was seeing me for the first time, but I didn't meet her eyes. I was too busy watching her world rearrange itself in real time. Her lawyer stood up abruptly. Your Honor, we'd like to request a continuation. We need time to reassess asset distribution given the magnitude of these. The judge raised a hand. There's nothing to reassess. Mr. Carter has submitted documentation showing that the company was incorporated prior to the marriage, funded with premarital assets and operated independently. There is also a prenuptial agreement, signed in 2017, confirming all business earnings are his separate property. That was the moment she broke. She'd forgotten about the prenup. Or maybe she assumed it was flimsy, a formality neither of us would ever invoke. But I hadn't forgotten, and I'd made damn sure it was bulletproof, the judge continued. As such, Mrs. Carter is not legally entitled to any portion of the business or its associated earnings. The court will proceed with standard division of jointly acquired marital property only. Her voice finally found its way out, small, cracked. But we were together for 5 years. I supported him. I stayed through everything. Doesn't that count for something? The judge barely looked up. That is not grounds for ownership of an independent business entity. She turned to me. Eli, seriously? You didn't tell me any of this? I tilted my head slightly. You never asked. That stung. I could see it. She wasn't pleading for money. Not really. She was pleading for relevance, for proof that she hadn't miscalculated the most important decision of her adult life. She'd spent the last few months parading around like she'd upgraded, convinced she'd walked away from a man going nowhere. But now she was sitting in front of the man she never saw coming, and realizing she was already too far gone. The rest was a blur. The house was ruled as premarital property, bought and maintained solely by me. The joint checking account, which she drained to splurge on a Cancun getaway, had less than $3,000 left. She got her car, a few home furnishings, no spousal support, no empire, no big check, no glow-up payday. We left the courtroom separately. She paused in the hallway like she wanted to say something, maybe an apology, maybe an attempt to reel me back in. But I didn't stop. I walked past her like she wasn't even there. That night, I went home, poured a double bourbon over ice, and stepped out onto the balcony. The city stretched before me, lit up like a silent promise. The phone buzzed, a text from someone new, a woman I'd met at a private tech networking event 3 weeks earlier. A different energy entirely. No games, no posturing, just mutual respect and shared ambition. I took a sip, closed my eyes, breathed. It was done. She had made her exit and I had made mine, quietly, brilliantly, and without ever having to raise my voice. It's funny how people only look back when there's nothing left ahead. 2 weeks after the court hearing, Jasmine sent me a message, just one line, "Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time, not because I didn't know how to respond, but because I did. I left it on read, not out of spite, just clarity. There was nothing to say. The truth had already been spoken in a courtroom, under oath, and written across the pages of a financial disclosure Jasmine never saw coming. I had built something she didn't even think I was capable of, not because I hid it from her, but because she never bothered to look deeper than what was in front of her. To her, I was the quiet husband, the reliable placeholder, the man she could walk away from without consequence, until the number was read out. Loud, $30-2 million. That was my net worth, not 11, not 12. $32.4 million, to be exact. Thanks to a merger finalized just days before the court hearing, AITA had been quietly acquired by a Fortune 500 firm, looking to expand into automated licensing solutions. My silent little startup was now a crown jewel in someone else's portfolio, and a very loud reality in Jasmine's rearview mirror. The deal was structured through my holding firm. Clean, isolated, beyond reach. And Jasmine had walked away from it with a fake tan, a leased Audi, and less than $3,000 from our joint account. She got the social media likes. I got the legacy, and she knew it. A friend of hers, someone we used to double date with back when things still felt normal, posted a screenshot on Instagram, a headline from TechCrunch announcing the acquisition. It was a full feature on the deal, with a photo of me shaking hands with the CEO of the acquiring company, clean suit, confident smile. The caption read, "The quiet builder behind AITA meet Eli Carter." I knew Jasmine saw it because she deleted half her Instagram photos the next day. Her new boyfriend, gone from the grid. The captions about high-value men and choosing peace over potential. erased like they were written in chalk during a rainstorm. I don't say that to gloat. I say that because watching her unravel quietly, the same way she underestimated me quietly, felt like justice in its purest form. She used to laugh at how simple I was, called me boring with potential, told her friends I was the kind of man who'd make a great father but never a mogul. I was too routine, too stable, too grounded. But the thing about being grounded, it means you don't get blown over when the wind shifts. While she was chasing sparks, I was building a fire, and now I had warmth she could no longer touch. A few weeks after the article dropped, a podcast reached out. They wanted to feature me on an episode titled Built in the Shadows, Founders Who Play the Long Game. I agreed. It wasn't to boast. It was to tell the truth, the kind that gets drowned out by noise and flash and performance. I told the host about my late nights. Space to grow without pressure. I didn't mention Jasmine by name. I didn't need to. The story was about power, not pettiness. Strategy, not spite. The episode went viral. Suddenly, I was getting invited to panels, interviews, private events. A few local business journals even called me Charlotte's stealth success story. I liked that. Jasmine stayed silent. But silence doesn't mean peace. It often means panic. Mutual friends said she tried to backpedal the narrative, claimed she always supported my dreams, that we just weren't in the same season, and that everything happens for a reason. But deep down, she knew. She wasn't the woman beside the empire. She was the one who walked out of the elevator just before the top floor. One night, around 2 a.m., she called. I didn't answer. Instead, I stared at the screen, took a sip of bourbon, and let the call go to voicemail. It buzzed once, then again, then silence. I didn't even bother listening to the message. There was nothing she could say now that would make the past any different, and the future. That door was locked. The woman I'm seeing now, her name's Camila. She's smart, grounded, no interest in being impressed, just curious. We met at a tech law seminar, talked for an hour about data ethics and AI regulation. She asked more questions in one conversation than Jasmine asked in 5 years. Not convenience, but actual curiosity. She knows who I am, knows what I've built, but she never asks for proof, or perks, or promises. She asks where I see myself in 10 years. She asks how I protect my peace. She asks how I rest, not just how I hustle. That's the difference. And the best part? I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to humiliate her or gloat, or post a cryptic quote on Instagram. The win was in the walk dash away. It was in the moment. I said nothing while she grinned at that courtroom table. The moment I handed the judge a folder full of receipts while she adjusted her lipstick. The moment she realized that while she had been performing, I had been preparing. They say the best revenge is success. That's close. But the real revenge? It's silence. It's letting someone think they got the last word, only to realize later they didn't even understand the conversation. It's becoming the version of yourself they were never patient enough to meet. Now she watches from the sidelines. She scrolls past my name in headlines, hears me in conversations she's not part of anymore, sees photos of me with someone who looks at me the way she never did. Like I'm not just stable, but exceptional. She used to call me reliable, like it was an insult. Now, I wear it like armor because stability built the empire she never saw coming. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more of these stories.